Hi all, I hope you enjoyed your holidays. Today I'm back with another video going over whether Escape from Tarkov's PvE mode is worth buying in 2026 or not. I won't hold you hostage here for long, so without further ado, let's begin. Now, if you've been following the Tarkov sphere in the slightest, you know the PvE mode is an extremely controversial topic within the Tarkov community. Primarily because a lot of the PvP purists say that PvE is ruining Tarkov, since Tarkov is meant to be this punishing experience, and not quote-unquote Fortnite, as they put it. While the other side says that PvE is great for new and returning players alike. Now, I have my thoughts on this matter, which I will share at the end, but because of this controversy I want to make one thing clear. If you enjoy Tarkov because of its punishing nature, then you will not enjoy PvE. If you enjoy Tarkov because of its core gameplay loop, then PvE might just be for you. Okay, so the reasons why I like the PvE mode in Tarkov over regular PvP primarily boil down to better pacing. I, just like most people, don't have 5 hours a day every day to grind quests, hideout upgrades, crafts, meta builds, etc, etc, etc. PvE allows me to approach the game at my own pace, which itself allows me to enjoy the game more, as I'm not under the constant pressure to keep up with everyone else who can invest 5 hours a day, every day. No wipes. One of the main things that made me despise Tarkov's quests is the fact that most of them are extremely tedious. This, combined with the knowledge that all my effort will eventually just be wiped when the server decides to wipe, really made me question the worth of wasting my very limited time towards doing these quests. PvE has no mandatory wipes, meaning when I complete a quest, that's it. The quest is done, and until I choose to go through it all again, I don't have to think about it, making the invested time feel more worth it. Better balancing. It's a known fact that Tarkov is a rather unbalanced game when it comes to your opponents. Little Timmy, who's playing the game for the first time, will likely be thrown into the same raid as a 5,000 hour Giga Chad. What is that little Timmy supposed to do? Fight? It's an instant loss, because even if said Timmy does everything right, which they won't, they will still probably lose either because the Giga Chad is just that much better, or because of gear difference. Run? The Giga Chad will more likely than not chase down the poor old Timmy. Thankfully, PvE mode removes that possibility entirely. From personal experience, most AI PMCs that I have encountered have roughly equal equipment to me in terms of quality. That is not to say the equipment is exactly the same as what I have, but it's roughly there when it comes to like the quality and the strength of it, I guess we can say. And their difficulty also seems to scale alongside my level, which leads to every fight feeling fair. Shorter queue times. It's no secret that Tarkov PvP has obnoxiously long queue and loading times, usually averaging about 5 to 8 minutes. Both from personal experience and reports I found of other people who also complained about the same led me to this conclusion. And all this time wasted, just for you to possibly be spawn camped by someone who memorized all spawns and be back at the main menu less than 5 minutes after joining the raid. It makes no sense to me. PvE, on the other hand, averages at about 1 to 3 minutes, meaning I not only join the raid quicker, but even if I die, it's less time wasted. No cheaters. Now, hear me out. Though I personally never encountered any cheaters, at least not obvious ones, in my time when I played PvP, about 3 years ago, give or take. However, just because I haven't encountered any cheaters doesn't mean that 30-hour playtime accounts with 15 KD and 80% survival rate don't exist. That would be a straight up lie, saying that they don't exist. This is why I decided to put this point in last place. Just because it isn't something that I have to deal with, or well, had to deal with, doesn't mean other people don't have to deal with it themselves. If you're someone who got killed by a cheater before, or if you just find the mere existence of cheaters repulsive, well, do I have a proposition for you? And that about sums up what I like about PvE. There are some other minor things here and there, but this is sort of the core points that I think are the most important to keep in mind before making the decision to purchase the PvE mode. Now, with those things out on the side, out of the way, whatever, we can go over the things that I don't really like. All or nothing. From personal testing, I found that PvE raids were either quiet as a mouse, you literally didn't hear anyone, didn't see anyone, maybe there was like a single scav somewhere on the map, and that was it, or you can go 2 minutes without having to engage in a shootout with a horde of AI scavs. Depending on what kind of player you are, this inconsistency might even be a bonus, as it might partially replace the unpredictable nature of Tarkov's regular PvP. Even though the AI's gear quality scaling alongside yours is a good thing, in my opinion, for creating fair fights, it also makes looting the PMCs you kill essentially trivial, as anything you find on them will probably be of little value, which means less thrill value trying to get to an extract. Now this is also might be a good thing if you're just trying to restock on your weapons and ammunition that you might actually find useful for your current loadout, as you won't just find something that is so far above your pay grade, so to speak, or play grade, that it will just sit in your stash, but it also won't be anything that you just isn't worth taking, right? But it's really stuck in that middle ground where it's kind of pointless looting them. AI can be rather inconsistent. Sometimes they'll just stand in place and look at you like a child in want of some candy, while other times they'll hatch their inner Delta Force operative and one-tap you from an ungodly distance. They also seem to detect the player extremely quickly, usually resulting in AI basically snapping onto the player as soon as said player peeks a corner. From my understanding, the AI do not actively loot what is on the map, rather they just spawn with a set loot pool already on them. Now, I am not exactly sure if this loot pool is determined by the developer, like a preset system where just randomly picks a predetermined gear, or is it just like randomly chosen before the raid, but the point is that I didn't see the AI actually loot anything, they just walk around and maybe act as if they are looting. This not only makes looting their bodies a bit repetitive after a while, but is also less engaging, as essentially every loot spot is uncontested. And finally, and probably obviously, the PvE mode removes a lot of what makes Tarkov Tarkov. Now, since my primary objective when playing games is to have fun and enjoy them, and I do not care so much about the masochistic experience that Tarkov PvP is known for, this isn't that big of an issue for me, but it's still a bit of a bummer regardless, as dying feels less like a loss and more like an inconvenience. Like you just trip over something and you're back on your feet in the matter of 10 seconds. You know, that's how it feels. You don't actually ever feel like you fell. With the positive and negative points out of the way, remember when I said that I will share my thoughts on the overly toxic sentiment towards PvE and PvE players that a lot of the PvP purists have? Well, here is my take on the matter. I don't think a lot of these PvP purists specifically hate the idea of PvE mode existing as much as they hate the fact that PvE mode takes away a lot of the teamies they so love farming for easy loot, quests and XP. Now I want to make one thing clear here. When I say PvP purists, I don't mean people who prefer PvP mode over PvE, or players who love the unpredictable nature of PvP, where sometimes you'll go against someone who is lesser skilled than you, while sometimes you'll go against someone who is more skilled than you. I'm not talking about those players. I'm specifically talking about those players who actively go out of their way to hunt down less skilled players because they are easier to target than someone of their equal skill level. I think that distinction has to be made to avoid unwanted discussions about things. Yes, I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, moving on. And I think this is because many of these PvE haters are rather incapable of bringing up any valid points against PvE. Their arguments usually boil down to, it's not real Tarkov, or it's too easy, or if I had to suffer, you have to suffer too, that kind of stuff. And that is technically correct, yes, the PvE mode is not real Tarkov. The PvE mode is much easier than the PvP mode. Everything all of that is technically true, but it is also extremely subjective, meaning that it cannot be considered as a valid argument against someone else preferring to play PvE over PvP. Other times, their argument just boils down to throwing personal insults at you, which I just think is not only childish, but it is also rather pathetic. So there's that too. And that is all the while they are ignoring the fact that probably a good chunk of the current PvE players wouldn't even be playing Tarkov in the first place if it wasn't for the PvE mode. So the claim that PvE is splitting the community could not be further from the truth. Throughout this video I tried to stay as objective as I could. However, I feel like this specific matter had to be addressed from a personal perspective. And to counter the claims that PvE will kill Tarkov, I will argue against it. Tarkov is an online game, and as all online games eventually do, it will be shut down. However, thanks to PvE, only slight changes need to be made regarding where certain information is stored, such as stash, trader rep, game version, etc., and the game will remain playable long after servers shut down. Now, this obviously isn't a guarantee, as BSG can just decide to nuke both versions when they decide it's not worth supporting the servers anymore. And it would be all for nothing, right? But even just the slightest chance of this becoming the case is more than enough proof against the PvE is killing Tarkov claims, at least in my eyes. Let's finally go into the, I guess, the finishing part of this review. Is Tarkov PvE mode for you? Yes, if you're a new player looking into learning the maps, spawns, exfils, loot spots, quests, etc. You're a returning player in need of a quick warm-up. You, for whatever reason, can't or don't want to engage with Tarkov's PvP. That can be because you either don't have enough time or you just don't enjoy Tarkov's PvP. And if any of my other positive notes that I made before in this video resonate with you. No, if you specifically play Tarkov for its punishing nature. You're an experienced player who finds the PvE mode too easy and or too boring. You do not agree with the price that is asked for the PvE add-on. You do not want to seem weak for playing Tarkov the quote-unquote wrong way, heavy emphasis on the quotes there. Any of my other negative points resonate with you. And now you might also be wondering, why not just get SP Tarkov then? And truth be told, there is no good reason. The only reason I personally don't use SP Tarkov is because PvE is official, internally integrated into the game, and doesn't require a third-party launcher. But overall, there is no concrete reason. All in all, so far I've enjoyed my time with PvE. It is currently the main way I play Tarkov, because I have other things in life that I have to focus my time towards. And the PvE mode provides me with the right balance of fun and challenge that I am looking for in the game. I hope this video helped you make your decision, and if you have any thoughts on it, be they positive or negative, please do share. But keep them constructive and respectful. We don't want any cheap insults or strawmanning in the comments, right? If that is the only thing you can put out, then might as well just dislike the video and click off. That would be a much more productive way to waste your time. Anyways, until next time, cheers. Now, if you specifically